Welcome to Fireside Gaming. I'm Billum, and we're doing a game collection video. This includes both retro games and some newer games that I've been picking up. And it's been a little bit since I've done one of these. I think I last did one in December. It's been 4, maybe 5 months. I can't remember. You guys seem to like them, and it's a fun little thing for me to do too. The wife and I have been buying games. It's just been really busy trying to sit down and record one of these. So things have piled up a little bit. So let's go ahead and just jump into that and get going. So first off, we have Croc, Legend of the Gobos. Greatest hits version. I never care about that kind of stuff. Doesn't bother me. The game's there. It's also in really nice shape outside of a little scratch here, which was my doing. There was a piece of plastic, like one of these tabs here, that was stuck inside the booklet. So when I pulled the booklet out, it ripped it. It was just where in manufacturing, one of these little tabs got left inside the book. I think this literally hasn't been played outside of me, who I'm currently playing it right now for review. I'm actually getting pretty close to done with it, but all in due time. That one's not ready yet. So here's an interesting one. Mobile Suit Gundam for the Sega Saturn. Now this is a Japanese-only game. It's an import. A local store, a retro game store, had this and a few other imports in, which I'm going to get to in a second. I don't know a whole lot about this one. I think, from my understanding, it's, I looked through the manual earlier, and it seems to have some pictures that imply it might be kind of like a side-scrolling shooter, maybe beat-em-up type game. I'm not sure. I'd never even heard of this one before. I've heard of some import Gundam games, especially those on the Sega Saturn and stuff, Japanese-only games. This one is just one I'm not overly familiar with. But it was there, and I picked it up because there was a set of games. And among that set was this. And if you're a Gundam fan, you probably recognize this as the Blue Destiny game, the first Blue Destiny game. Blue Destiny is just a really well-known side story in the UC timeline. Has to do with these Gundams that use the exam system and stuff. But here's what's cool about it. This case for this game, it isn't a jewel case. It's like a book. Like, this texture is like a book. It's like a book cover. And when you flip it open, the manual is actually just integrated straight into the case. Like, it's just binded right into it. Sorry, I bumped my camera there. So that's incredibly cool. These are more akin to first-person shooters with, like, mecha sims, and, like, you're actually inside the cockpit of the suit and stuff. I don't know if I can find a good picture of that. Was there? No, it's just the Federation symbol on the back. But these are neat. These are neat. I've seen them before. Oh, here we go. Here's some good examples. If I can get some proper lighting. I'm shooting this a little later in the day than I normally would, so I don't have as much natural lighting. But yeah. So these are neat. They're not the rarest, I'll say. I've seen a few copies of the first one out in the wild, and I've seen some copies of the second one, but I've never seen a copy of the third one. And the reason that I grabbed all of these is because the game store I was shopping at happened to have gotten in all 3 of the Blue Destiny games. And I was like, oh man, so they only had them priced at, like, I think it was between 15 and 20 bucks for each of them. And I've never seen, like, a full set just nice and collected before, and all of them have that same style of book-like case. And I was like, man, these are super cool. I want to check these out. If I ever do review them, if there's interest in that, I would probably just do them all as, like, one game, because from my understanding, each of these games is only, like, 2 to 3 hours long. So I would just do them all as one game, one review probably. But yeah, I was super excited to find these. Just tucked away in a corner. The lady that runs the store told me that she got them in the day before. Didn't even post them online because she didn't know if anybody would really be interested in them. And then I happened to walk in and just immediately find them. So cool. I'm stoked about this. I'm a big Gundam fan. I've always thought the Blue Destiny stuff is interesting. There's a manga for it and stuff like that. But yeah, these were one of my favorite finds, particularly that from this run. These last, I don't know, few runs over the months. Next up is relevant to those who've been following the channel, Mega Man X Legacy Collection and Legacy Collection 2. I don't own Mega Man X7 or X8, so this is how I'm going to go about playing them. I do need to fix my PS4. Right now it's HDMI port is busted. I've got a replacement in the tools. I'm gonna desolder and resolder. Did I mention that time constraints have been a thing lately? Because they kind of have been. But either way, both discs are here. That's one of the advantages of the PS4 version, because the Switch version is kind of stupid and you have to buy the import if you want physical cartridges. That's neither here nor there. I have this. This is how I'll be reviewing X7 and X8 when I get around to them. But, still speaking about Mega Man, I did pick up a copy of Network Transmission. And this is part of the Battle Network series, but unlike the Battle Network series, this plays more akin to a regular Mega Man game. Jumping, shooting, sliding, you know, that's the kind of thing that it is. But it is set in the Battle Network universe. I don't recognize that version of Mega Man. I don't remember seeing that. And it's next to Proto Man's name? That's weird. Okay, sorry. Getting distracted. This I actually want to be a very, very soon review, because the Battle Network collection is coming out. I've reviewed the first Battle Network. I was holding off on the others until Capcom put that collection out. So now that it's coming out this month? Next month, technically, April? It's coming out in April. I'm recording this in March. But it's coming out, and I have already recorded and beaten this game and started working on the review for it, so I hope to have that up before the collection comes out, at least. So here's a wife pick, PacMan Versus and PacMan World 2. PacMan World 1 recently got remastered or remade, not sure, I'm not familiar with these. This was one of the wife's picks. She had this game as a kid, she really liked it, she says it's a good 3D platformer. I'm surprised to see these as both discs. Also, they look a little around the edges. They've been cleaned, okay. You can see the white around the edges where they've used a cleaner on this. Not a problem. The disc looks like it's in fine shape. I don't know much about these. I'm sure I will sooner or later get around to playing them, because I do like 3D platformers, 2D platformers, and stuff like that. So I'll probably get around to playing this, and probably the first one too. But as it is, I don't know a whole lot about this. What I do know about is Phantasy Star Universe. I like Phantasy Star Universe. It's... oh man, how do I explain it? It's one of those games where it's just kind of like... it's okay, and I definitely understand a lot of people wouldn't necessarily like it, but something about it just checks the right boxes for me, and I really enjoy it. And Ambition of the Illuminous is basically what would be like an expansion, because this is back in that era of MMO expansion stuff, because the Phantasy Star Universe games do have online. Even though this is like a PS2 game, you could do that back in the day. Those of you who, grew up in that era know, I mean, it's literally right there. So, I played Universe on the 360, but it didn't get the story mode expansion. It got the content for online from this expansion, the Ambition of Illuminous, but it didn't get the story mode, and it's like, well, that's kind of useless. But I did find this at a local shop, and they had it priced at like $20, and I was like, that's really cheap. Usually this goes for $40, $45. I need to stop saying so much. I'm not some teenage California girl, but I'm in the middle of recording. But either way, Golden Compass, random. I got it for a good price. I've always wanted to check it out. I've played Phantasy Star Universe all the way through. I've played Portable 1 all the way through. I like this universe and series. It has its problems. It's not the best and everything like that, but I personally just really enjoy it. I need to play more classic Phantasy Star. I've played the first one, which is a first-person dungeon crawler. It's one of the few of those that I can play without getting a kind of nauseous feeling from the camera. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But I need to play 2, 3, and 4. That's a series I definitely want to dive into eventually. But I've got a lot of RPGs and others on my plate as it is already, so I can't say when that would happen. Now, we're getting into more wife picks. And these are 2 games, I'm just going to show them off together. We picked up Silent Hill for the room, Silent Hill Homecoming. She already has a lot of the other Silent Hill games. Now, I know very little about Silent Hill. I know stuff through her, because she talks about it. She likes Silent Hill, she has 2 and 3. We have a digital copy of 1, we have 4 now, we have Homecoming. I feel like we have some others. I don't know, because I've never been interested in Silent Hill. Like I said, I've watched the live-action movies. I enjoy those for what they are as somebody with little understanding of the series. But I'm very much, if you're gonna do horror for me, I don't care as much for demonic stuff, you know? Give me zombies and stuff like that. Give me House of the Dead even, you know? Stuff like that. I like House of the Dead. That kind of stuff, but like Silent Hill's never really been my jam. It's just not. That's not a dig against the series. I understand that, you know, it's well respected and for good reason and stuff like that. It's just got no appeal to me personally. So this next one's a funny one. We have Jak X Combat Racing. Yet again, I've been wanting to cover the Jak and Daxter series on the channel, and I bought this as a loose disc because I already have case and art and a manual to go with it, so I just needed the disc, and this is in good shape, so no worries there. And weirdly enough, you know, Jak X Combat Racing is, you know, part of the story and stuff like that, and with this I have all the Jak and Daxter games, so whenever I get around to reviewing those, I'd like to do that this year. I feel like I can, but we'll see. I've got a lot on my plate right now, so, and that's not like a, oh man, life sucks things. It's actually just that I've been doing things like I'm DMing for a group of friends in a D&D campaign. I get together and play Magic, things like that. My son's getting older, we're playing and stuff like that, and doing family stuff, and summer's coming, so, you know, we're going out more. Life has been very busy on my end, and I only have 1 kid. Man, I know, like, some of you guys have a lot more than that, and I'm just like, oh man, I don't know how you do it. So BioShock 2, yet again, this is a wife pick. She has BioShock 1, she has BioShock Infinite, she's always wanted to play through the series, she never has yet. As you can see, on some of these games, I haven't even gotten around to peeling the stickers off, which used to be like, whenever we went retro game shopping, we'd buy the games, we'd bring them home, we'd pop a movie in, and then we'd like just sit down and de-sticker these and Goo Gone them if we need to, and these do need. I tried to peel one of these off earlier, but these ones, like these stickers, this store stickers, they need Goo Gone because they are on there good. Like, I'm gonna peel that off, and it's gonna leave residue, so I'm gonna have to hit it with that stuff and wipe it down and clean it up. And that's a bit of a process, and just haven't quite had the time to sit down and do that. So now we can actually show a game that I am familiar with, and that is Little Big Planet Game of the Year Edition. Or, I mean, I know Little Big Planet base. This is actually a fun one I want to share a little story with. I played this back in college when it came out, because I was a game design major. And part of our class had us entering a competition for a scholarship against other colleges, and we did level design. We focused on level design, so we did levels in... There were 2 teams from our school. We did levels in Little Big Planet and CryEngine. Crysis. When Crysis came out, you could just open up CryEngine. I think it's called CryEngine. I'm positive it is. And go in there and create levels and stuff. And my group's CryEngine level, which was this... it was an island, and there was like a plane that had crashed in it, and like the nose was broken off, and there was smoke coming out of the engines and stuff. I did a lot of work on that one, and I ended up switching majors eventually and going down audio-video production. But either way, we took 2nd place, which we then used that scholarship money to go to E309, which shows a little bit of how old I am. And that's just a really fond memory that I like sharing. I have an E309 hoodie. The wife does too. I bought her one while I was there. We were dating at the time. And I bought that hoodie for her and me, and a friend actually has one too. And I have a lot of fond memories of that, of walking around and playing games. Shattered Memories, actually, I just showed Silent Hill. Shattered Memories was being shown off, and I remember playing it for the Wii and having a lot of fun with it. And it was also, there was a Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's, like, bike racing game right next to it at the booth, like, the Konami booth was, like, set up right next to it. I remember playing a bunch of other random games. Transformers, one of the Transformers movie games was there, and they had it set up so you're just jumping in and playing, and it was so good. I told my friends how good it was, and then we bought it when it came out a while later, and it wasn't near as fun because I got suckered into, like, playing at E3 hype, so that's kind of embarrassing. Oh, I got, Spirit Tracks. Nintendo was showing off Spirit Tracks that year, and I waited in line to get a little stylus that was like a feather, and it was like one they had re-released before for Phantom Hourglass, but the box says Spirit Tracks on it, and I waited in line and got one of those and gave it to the wife because she liked Phantom Hourglass and she was looking forward to Spirit Tracks and stuff. It's around here somewhere. I'm sure I could dig it out, but I'm not going to. But yeah, Little Big Planet just reminds me of that college experience of getting to go to E3, and I just kind of wanted to share that. Yeah, random backstory, lore, whatever people call that for channels nowadays. But let's move on here to our next game, which is Turok. Now, I don't know anything about the reboot, really. I know that it changes things. It doesn't keep the same basic setting that the other Turok games had, which I remember playing Turok on the N64 with my buddy Nexilus. I've mentioned him in some of my other videos before, like Pokemon, specifically. I mentioned him in my Pokemon Yellow review. He's an old friend. We're still friends to this day. And he had Rage Wars, I think it was, on the N64. And was it Evolution on the GameCube? I can't remember. But I remember playing those. I'm not going to say I'm the biggest Turok fan. I know it has a comic book. Like, it started as a comic book, it got games. But I also know that this reboot took away a lot of what was, like, kind of made Turok. But, you know, at the same time, I'm willing to check it out. And this is a game my brother-in-law had that he sold us his PS3 years ago. And when he did, it was a bundle with a bunch of games. And there were a lot of games we just left because we were like, well, we're not interested. And take them to a store, trade them in, and stuff like that. And when we were visiting, around Christmas time, they were all still sitting on his shelf despite him not having a PS3. And we were like, you know what? Let's just get some of these games from you. We'll buy them from you. You're obviously just sitting on them. We'll add them to our collection. You know, some of them we'll play. We'll probably play all of them. And if we don't, we probably know somebody who would borrow it and play it. But either way, this was one of those. I am willing to give it a shot. But yeah, just kind of a random pickup. Same goes for some of these as well, like Dead Island. Another case of this was one my brother-in-law had that we purchased as a bundle from him around Christmas time, I'm pretty sure. I remember the hype for this game because of its trailer, and then I never played it. Like, that trailer really just, like, it was the equivalent of breaking the internet back then. It was huge. And then, like, the series kind of just petered off. Like, I don't remember anybody talking about the game. I think it had a sequel. I think it's getting another game. But I'm willing to give it a shot. As we said, I like zombies. I don't even know if this is considered a horror game, necessarily. But I'll get to check it out now. Here's a funny one, yet again. Part of that bundle buy. Fallout 3, Game of the Year Edition. This is my third copy of the game. My first copy being... Oh hey, it's still got all of this fun stuff in it. The perks. Oh my, this is a lot bigger than I expected to be. There's no way I'm getting all of this on camera. I can scroll it as I go. Here we go. But the first version of this game I bought was the PC version when it launched on Games for Windows Live. I still have that laying around somewhere, but Games for Windows Live is a dead platform, and you have to do some workarounds to get games for it to work, so I ended up instead just buying the game on Steam, so I could just boot it up off Steam and play it, and then he had this, and I was like, you know what, I wouldn't mind having it physical as well, so I technically own 3 copies of Fallout 3. Nobody ever needs that many copies, but I guess I have that many copies now. We also have Just Cause 2. I love Just Cause 2. I don't know if this is ever going to be something I actually sit down and review, but know that I love this game. A lot of people like to go and play Grand Theft Auto for their crazy amounts of action and chaos and explosions and stuff like that, and that's perfectly fine. I have a copy of San Andreas sitting around for that reason. But, whenever I want to go to a comfort game where I just don't care and just run around and shoot stuff and blow things up, Just Cause. Just Cause 2 is where I started with the series. It might be my favorite, but Just Cause 3 has the wingsuit, and that's pretty freaking cool. Just Cause 4 was alright. I don't know. It just wasn't quite as good. But Just Cause 2 is a favorite, if a favorite one of them, because it's where I started, and I remember getting a lot of mods for it, and just playing it all the time on PC, and playing it with friends, and not like there's a multiplayer mod, but not that, just switching back and forth between handing off the controller kind of playing. This actually has like a decent little booklet. I'm surprised, like some of these games just don't have, don't have much to them in that regard around this era, but either way, this is a fun game. It's also, hello, I hadn't looked at this before, but check this. It's a Peggy. Which is just to say that this is a European copy. That happens sometimes, especially if you're buying off Amazon. Our copy of the Crash Insane Trilogy for Switch is European, as well as our copy of Bloodborne. Why? I don't know, it just sometimes happens. It's not like it's a specific European listed one, but it just shows up and it's European. The consoles are region-free, it doesn't matter, but it does happen, it's just kinda odd. Okay, so this next bit is where I'm going to be getting into a lot more of newer games purchased, and not like new though, because I don't buy a whole lot of games brand new. But we have Dark Souls Remastered for the PS4. I picked this up because the bundle that we got from my brother-in-law had Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, and I was like, you know what? I might as well just go ahead and buy all of the Dark Souls games physical. I don't mind having them physical. I've had them on PC for years, including the Scholar of the First Sin version of 2. I've never played the original version before they made the changes. I very much enjoy From Software games. See if I can try and get that light to not murder that case. But yeah, I enjoy From Software games. I'm sure that's evident from the channel where I've talked about it before and played Armored Core and Evergrace and stuff like that. Elden Ring was great. When its DLC comes out, I will probably find myself with even less time as I try to play through that. But yeah, I just was like, you know what? Not a bad idea to have the Dark Souls games physical, and I was already getting 2 from my brother-in-law, so I was like, you know what? I might as well buy 1 and 3 as well and just have them physical. And I already have Demon Souls physical and Bloodborne physical. I don't have Elden Ring physical. I have it on PC. Maybe one of these days I will if they do like a collector's version that has all the DLC, because I usually like to pick things up that way. But we'll see. I mean, yeah, I probably will, but who knows, it might never make it to a video. Okay. Now, yet again, this comes from brother-in-law. Had a copy of Darksiders. I enjoy Darksiders. The wife really enjoys the Darksiders series. So we decided, we'd get them physical to go along with this one. So we also picked up Darksiders 2 Definitive Version, as well as a copy of Darksiders 3. Can I slide these over and make room? Close enough. Yet again, I haven't removed stickers. I just haven't had the time. I'm sorry. I usually kind of try to make sure to do that, but like I said, these stickers they leave adhesive. They leave adhesive behind, and they'll be a mess to clean up. And I wanted to get this video out because it's been a while since I've done one of these retro game, or, even newer game collecting to a degree. If you've never played Darksiders before, since I got sidetracked, they're really fun, but they kind of change. Like, Darksiders 1 is like a simpler Devil May Cry that also incorporates a lot of Zelda-esque puzzles. And then Darksiders 2 is closer to like an open, not quite open world, but more open-y world, like open areas, I should say. Hack and slash with a loot system. And then Darksiders 3 just goes full Souls-like. And, that's wavy. Is that water damage? Whatever. It was $10. The game works. That's what matters. It's not like these things come with manuals anyway. But it's a very Dark Souls styled game instead. And then there's another one. I think the wife and I played through it. She has it through Steam, I think. Darksiders Genesis, that is a top-down, like Diablo-esque styled game multiplayer that we played through together. So the Darksiders series changes with each game, but they're all fun. I would like to see more of them kind of stick to the Darksiders 1 or 2 style, just because I feel like that's the game's identity more so than like the Souls series. But either way, they're fun games. I hope there's more of them. There's the story's still not done. There needs to be more games. It's a fun story, especially if you're into Christianity and like the Armageddon situation and the Four Horsemen and stuff like that. If you enjoy that kind of stuff, then like that's what these stories do, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. So yeah. And now we have shoot, I bumped it. Now we have Gungrave Gore. Now, Gungrave is a series near and dear to my heart. I originally saw it as an anime, way back on Anime Unleashed, which was an anime show that had like a bunch of different animes that ran at night. It was basically the anime block at night from Tech TV, which would eventually become G4. And they had a lot of anime on there that you just didn't see anywhere else. Gungrave was one of them. They had one called Boogie Pop Phantom, Better Man, which is part of the Gal Gaigar universe. I'm trying to think. I know there were others. The Read or Die anime ran on there. What else? I'm blanking. I'm thinking of stuff. Magical Shopping Arcade Abenabashi? Sounds familiar? I could have just butchered that. Point is, there were a lot of animes. Gungrave was one of them. It stuck out to me a lot, and I bought Gungrave Overdose, which is the second game. And the anime covers the first game as well as like a new backstory for the characters, which is really some of the best parts of the anime. But there's Gungrave Overdose. There's a Gungrave VR game that, due to my fear that VR will make me sick, I have never touched, and I don't know anybody with VR to try, and I just can't justify spending the money on something that might give me some kind of sickness, considering that, like, a first-person shooter with the wrong depth of field, or a first-person dungeon crawler, like the Shin Megami Tensei Shin Megami Tensei games on Super Nintendo. I played a good bit into the first one, but like I had to drop it because the fisheye lens and stuff like that just made me nauseous and have a headache and stuff like that. So I'm always afraid to try VR. But from my understanding, the VR game may not necessarily matter too much. I'm not sure about that. But now there's Gungrave Gore. And considering Gungrave and Gungrave Overdose were PS2 games, and this is a PS4 game, but it also got a PS5 release, if I could get it to... There we go. Beautiful. Zoom in there. Let's see. The series it's been gone for a little while, but now it has a new game, and from my understanding, this basically plays like a PS2 game, but with shinier graphics, and I'm okay with that. That sounds right up my alley. I would love to do, and I plan to do, reviews of Gungrave, Gungrave Overdose. I don't have my copies sitting here. And then Gungrave Gore. So that would be super fun to do, and I want to do that yet again. This requires me to fix my PS4, which also holds true for some of those Darksiders and Dark Souls games and stuff, but I haven't played this before. This will be what really makes me want to fix the PS4, because, man, I love Gungrave. It's done by Naitao, who is the same creator of Trigun, and from my understanding was really close friends with the guy that made the Hellsing series as well. So it's got that same kind of, like, flair to it, and I really enjoy it. I think it's such a good series, and Kind of sucks that it's been mostly forgotten. Like, that's why I'm excited to see that it got a game. But it just doesn't get talked about much, despite being what one of my personal, like, my top 5 animes is Gungrave, and I love these games. I played Overdose so much as a kid, but we'll get to that when we get to that. Either way, thank you for stopping by and watching this video. I always appreciate any kind of comments about, like, games you want to see reviewed. That gives me an idea. I do know that there have been some requests. Disgaea was one, and I'm all about covering that. So is Breath of Fire 4, which will probably take me a little bit to get to because I'm unfamiliar with the other Breath of Fire games. Not unfamiliar, I've played them, I've just never beat them. In fact, the only Breath of Fire game I've beaten is 5, and I know that's kind of like heresy in that fandom, but yeah. So I will fix that eventually and get on that series too, but right now I think I want to focus more on some RPG series that I already have in progress, and touch on those more and finish off some of the other series that I have running for retro reviews before I start jumping into too many new ones. But yeah, give me comments, because I love seeing that. I love people asking for reviews and stuff. That helps me know which way to direct the channel. Understand it might take me time to get to those reviews, or, you know, sometimes I just might not cover it. I'm not trying to offend anyone or anything like that, but time commitments. Time commitments are a thing. But yeah, take it easy, y'all, and well, I guess that is my closing, isn't it? Take it easy.